Behind the Line Extra for your Saturday, October 19th, 2019. I am your host, KC. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Disaster in Kansas City. And it all could have been avoided. I don't like the Monday morning quarterback. Hindsight's always 20/20, and it's easy to criticize decisions after the fact. Patrick Mahomes suffered a knee injury Thursday night in Denver. I saw footage of the Chiefs' medical staff literally popping his kneecap back into place. It was pretty fucking gruesome. Reports are saying that Mahomes is likely to miss the next 3 weeks at a minimum. Here's the thing. I love Andy Reid. Andy Reid is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. You rarely hear me question the decision-making of Andy Reid. I've got a lot of respect for him. I think he's one of the brilliant offensive minds in this league. But I've got to question something here. First, Patrick Mahomes has been playing through an ankle injury since week 1 when he hurt it against Jacksonville. He tweaked it in the game against Baltimore. It's noticeably been aggravating him. You could see it in his play. He's adjusted his game. He's not rolling out of the pocket as much. He's pretty much staying in the pocket and being a pocket passer. He hasn't been as elusive. Everyone is questioning right now whether or not Mahomes should have been playing against Denver Thursday night. And that's a fair question. I mean, short week, you're on the road. You just played a physical Houston defense last Sunday. So I can understand why some would question the decision to play Mahomes. But I don't have a problem with it. I mean, this is the NFL. Guys play through pain and injury all season. That's nothing new. Drew Brees is rushing right now to get back from his thumb injury. Trying to get back before the 6, 7, 8 weeks they said it would take him to heal. So guys are playing hurt in this league all season. However, here's my issue. Andy Reid knows that Mahomes is on a bum leg. We all fucking knew it. I actually like Denver to win that game Thursday night. If Joe Flacco wasn't such a fucking bum as a quarterback, Denver at least should have covered that game. So you know Patty Mahomes had a bad ankle. And you make a call to run a quarterback sneak near the fucking goal line. This was completely unnecessary. Awful call by Andy Reid. Why in the hell would you knowingly run your quarterback with a bad leg into the teeth of a defense during a game in week 7? This isn't the playoffs. This isn't the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. It's week fucking 7. You're playing the useless Denver Broncos. The AFC West is a disaster right now. Kansas City should win this division by default. It boggles my mind why Andy Reid would make this decision. He's better than this. This call reeked of desperation. I understand that Kansas City's lost 2 straight heading into that game against Denver. I get it. But like I said, you're playing the Broncos. Joe Flacco, a guy that the Ravens couldn't wait to get rid of. A guy who holds the NFL record for most games with a QBR rating in the single digits. Your offense is moving the ball with ease. You didn't need to risk losing your star quarterback. Not in a game like this, anyway. Let's be optimistic for a minute and assume that Patrick Mahomes is only going to miss 3 weeks. You've got Green Bay, Minnesota, and then you travel to Tennessee. 2 big games coming up over the next 2 weeks. Risking your star quarterback on a sneak play is just asinine to me. Kansas City is not the New Orleans Saints. You don't have a competent backup quarterback. You expect me to believe that Matt fucking Moore is going to beat Green Bay and Minnesota? 2 great defenses? I don't think so. Matt Moore's 35 years old. He hasn't started consistently in the NFL since 2011 when he was with the Dolphins. Your other backup is Chad Henne. Don't even get me started on Chad Henne. The guy's 18 and fucking 35 through his NFL career. 34% win percentage. And the game against the Titans isn't an automatic win. I think Ryan Tannehill's going to turn things around for Tennessee. The Chiefs don't have a good enough running game and defense to keep things afloat while Mahomes is out. Say they lose the next 3 games. You're sitting at 5-5, and you're basically letting the Oakland Raiders potentially seize control of the AFC West. I don't understand it. Andy Reid is too experienced a head coach and too smart to make dumbass calls like this. And I don't want to hear the bullshit about guys rarely getting hurt on quarterback sneaks. People rarely get hit by buses. Does that mean I'm going to walk out in front of one with a bad ankle and expect nothing to happen? The Chiefs are in trouble. This could have a huge impact on their season. Like I said, this isn't a complete team like New Orleans, who has the capability of losing their Hall of Fame quarterback and still win games. They haven't lost a game since Drew Brees has been out. Mahomes has been bailing out the Chiefs all year. I mean, couldn't they just run their fullback on that play? Or anyone else besides Patrick Mahomes? Putting your best player who's already injured in a situation that could end a disaster just like it did. Completely unnecessary. All right, before I release my NFL plays, I wanted to talk a second about Major League Baseball. I rarely talk baseball on this podcast, mainly because nobody watches. I mentioned it briefly a few weeks ago, but growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, Major League Baseball was huge. You had these larger-than-life superstar players, Barry Bonds, Chipper Jones, Greg Maddux, Roger Clemens, Derek Jeter. I could go on and on. That's no longer the case. Nowadays, you ask someone on the street to name you 3 to 5 baseball players, they wouldn't be able to do it. At some point, baseball transitioned from a national game to a regional sport. Sure, they do big numbers in New York City and Chicago, Boston, St. Louis, Los Angeles. But if you don't live in those markets, you're not watching the games. It doesn't matter who's playing in the NFL. We're all watching. We'll watch the Chargers play the fucking Bungles. That used to be the case with Major League Baseball. You might be thinking to yourself, well, the New York Yankees are the most popular sports team in America. Everyone watches the Yankees. And you'd be wrong. The Yankees ALDS series against the Twins has been a ratings disaster. For example, Game 3 was watched by 2.6 million people. That is pathetic. This is the fucking playoffs. We're in October. October is supposed to be the biggest time of year for Major League Baseball. Game 3 between the Astros and the Rays was watched by less than 1 million people. I think it was like 980,000. Attendance during the regular season was down this year. In short, people are not watching baseball. More importantly, young people aren't watching baseball. People my age. People in their 20s. Of the major sports, baseball has the oldest audience. Over 50% of people watching baseball are over 50 years old. Average fan is about 53 years old. I remember when the Major League playoffs were on network television, CBS, NBC, Fox. They were all fighting for the rights to air the games. Today, you'll find them on TBS, MLB Network, and True TV. More people are watching NFL preseason games than the baseball playoffs. Hell, more people are watching NBA preseason games than the playoffs in baseball. If you're a diehard baseball fan, I've got bad news for you. It's not going to get any better. Baseball's been on a steady decline in America the last 10 to 15 years. It's a dying sport. Nationally, at least. It's no longer mainstream. You don't believe me? Tune into your big sports networks, ESPN, Fox, any time of year. Pick a month. I don't care what month it is. It could be October, April, July. It doesn't matter. No one is leading off or talking about baseball. Same with sports radio on a national level. Major League Baseball runs opposed to any other major sport from mid to late June until early September when college football kicks off. What are we talking about during the summer? The NBA draft, then NBA free agency, and then the NFL preseason begins. There isn't 1 month of the year that baseball dominates the news. Other than the game being too slow, which I don't know how you fix that. I think one of the biggest problems in baseball is they don't have American star players. Most of the league is from outside of the United States. You tell me the last time you saw a Major League Baseball player on a big national commercial. I'll wait. Couldn't think of one, could you? Meanwhile, we'll see Drew Brees, Baker Mayfield, LeBron James, Steph Curry all over the place 12 months a year. The bottom line is Major League Baseball does not know how to market their stars. It's regressed into a regional sport. Pockets of the country love it. There's no doubt in that. I mean, pockets of the country love baseball. But they only love their team. A baseball fan in New York City isn't tuning into a game between the Reds and the Cardinals, and vice versa. In a way, it's kind of sad, because I was a huge baseball fan growing up. I loved the 90s Braves teams. I loved the Cubs, even though they lost consistently. Both of those teams, almost every game was broadcast nationally on TBS or WGN. That's no longer the case because very few people are watching. In terms of a national level, baseball's dead. The Major League Baseball playoffs are being watched by less people than WWE. Think about that for a second. More people are watching professional wrestling or sports entertainment, as Vince McMahon prefers to call it, than are watching the Major League Baseball playoffs. Let that sink in. All right, let's get to the NFL bets for this weekend. We've been doing really well past 4 or 5 weeks on our NFL plays. Another huge weekend of NFL football. Got some big games this weekend. Texans, Colts, Vikings, Lions, Saints, Bears, Ravens, Seahawks, Eagles, Cowboys. I'm fucking excited about this NFL weekend. All right, let's get to the plays. First game, Vikings at Lions. Current line, Minnesota -2. After his abysmal performance against the Bears a couple of weeks ago, and taking a beating from fans and the media, and teammates for that matter, for his failure to throw the ball downfield, Kirk Cousins has been on fire the past 2 weeks. Last week, he torched the Eagles with several big pass plays, ended with over 300 yards on the day. Detroit, on the other hand, is coming in suffering 2 tough losses. That loss at Green Bay Monday night was brutal. But I think that ends up motivating the Lions here. Look, Detroit's a good football team. They take care of the ball, average only 1 turnover a game. The defense gives up a lot of yards, but they don't give up a lot of points. They're a prime example of a bend but don't break defense. They've held 2 good quarterbacks in Carson Wentz and Aaron Rodgers under 300 yards of total offense and did both of it on the road. Let's not forget, Kirk Cousins doesn't fare well against good teams. His record against teams with winning records is abysmal. And he hasn't beaten a team with a winning record all season. I realize Detroit's sitting at 500 right now, but they should be 3-2-1. The Vikings are also a different team on the road. Only road game they've won all year is against the Giants, who came into that game banged up. They were throttled most of that game on the road at Green Bay, and they got embarrassed against Chicago. I think this line's an overreaction to what we've seen the past 2 weeks from Minnesota. Everyone is loading up on the Vikings. Line opened at Detroit -1. I'm going the opposite way here, taking Detroit +2 at home. All right, Cardinals at Giants, current line, New York -3. Really, really like this play here. I realize the Giants have looked bad the past couple of weeks, but I think it's mainly due to injuries. Evan Ingram is back, and more importantly, Saquon Barkley will be back. Last couple of weeks, the Giants have been hurt by a lack of a running game and turnovers. Daniel Jones didn't have his offensive weapons around him, made some bad decisions that resulted in interceptions. I think that all changes on Sunday afternoon. Arizona's terrible defensively. They rank near the bottom of the league in just about every major statistical category. The secondary's terrible, giving up nearly 300 yards passing a game and only managing one interception. Rookie quarterback Daniel Jones should have a field day with this Arizona defense, who also struggles to rush the passer. Kyler Murray has looked good the past couple of weeks, I'll give him that. But it was against bad teams. I'm not impressed with big games against the Bungles and the Falcons, two of the worst defenses in the NFL. The Giants' defense isn't good, but they've played better as the season has progressed. Like I said earlier, turnovers have killed this team the last couple of weeks with most of their offensive weapons injured. I think Daniel Jones and the Giants bounce back in a big way here. It's going to be cold in Jersey. Not good for a dome team. Also an early start for a West Coast team traveling east, taking the Giants -3. All right, next up, Rams at Falcons, current line, LA -2.5. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know how much I love my home dogs. However, I just can't put my trust in this Falcons team. I know the Rams offense has been struggling. Jared Goff was garbage last week against the 49ers. He had something like 48 passing yards. They haven't been taking care of the ball, 7 turnovers their last 3 games, yet I feel like they're in a prime bounce back spot here in Atlanta. The Falcons' defense is atrocious. A couple of weeks ago, they made rookie Kyler Murray, who's been struggling all season, look like an all-pro. Head coach Dan Quinn is literally coaching week to week for his job. And his team finds a way to regress every fucking week. This defense gave up nearly 600 yards to the Texans, who were struggling offensively going into that game. 442 yards to the Cardinals. They gave up 365 to Marcus Mariota and the fucking Titans. A guy who was just benched. And they made Mariota look like a competent quarterback. There's about to be some major changes in Atlanta. Their season is over. And I just can't see them being up for this game. The Rams are in a must-win situation here. And after being embarrassed last week, I feel like Sean McVay is going to pull out all the stops to get a road win and maintain their spot in the NFC West. Going to swallow the points here. Take the Rams -2.5. All right, next up. Ravens at Seahawks. Current line, Seattle -3. Favorite play of the weekend here. I'm not sold on this Seattle team. I've been saying it all year. They've regressed defensively, awful offensive line. Russell Wilson spends the majority of games running for his fucking life. This team struggled and barely beat the Bungles at home in week 1. They don't have one impressive win this season. The Browns gave that win to them last weekend in Cleveland. And then comes one of the best offenses in the NFL. Teams that face Lamar Jackson for the first time have a tendency to struggle defending him. He's lethal with the run-pass option. Baltimore already has over 1,200 yards rushing this season. Far and away, best rushing team in the NFL. Now, the Ravens don't have an impressive win either, in my opinion, but I feel like they're the better team. I love Russell Wilson, but I don't think he has enough talent around him. This team is heavily reliant on him to make plays and win games, kind of like the Chiefs are with Patrick Mahomes. I feel like Baltimore is the more complete team, and they're getting star wide receiver Hollywood Brown back this week. The Ravens are money as an underdog. 8-3 against the spread their last 11 games as a dog. 5-1 against the spread their last 6 games as a road dog. With the home field advantage Seattle has, they haven't been great at home this year. Like I said, struggled against Cincinnati and lost to New Orleans without Drew Brees. And squeaked out a win against an unimpressive Rams team. I feel like we're getting a lot of value here with Baltimore, taking Baltimore +3. Last game, I love this one too. Eagles at Cowboys, current line, Dallas -2.5. I've been saying all year that I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC East, which isn't saying much because the NFC East is in the dumpster right now. Worst division in the NFL. Don't overreact to last week's beatdown against Minnesota. Take a look at the games the Eagles have lost this year. Each one, they were beaten through the passing game. The Philadelphia secondary just isn't that good. However, they're very good against the run. Second in the league in rush yards given up. What have I been saying since before the season started? To stop the Dallas offense, you have to contain Ezekiel Elliott. I told you that the Saints gave the blueprint for the NFL. Philly has the personnel to stop Zeke and make Dak try to beat him. That hasn't happened yet this season. And with Amari Cooper expected to be out, it's going to be even harder on Dak Prescott. I'm getting the better coach and the better quarterback, plus the gift of a field goal. I'll take it. Buying the half point to get the line to 3, taking Philadelphia +3. I wanted to take my Saints +3.5 against Chicago, but with Alvin Kamara out, I passed on it with my picks. The Bears' defense is tough. New Orleans has been heavily reliant on Kamara since Breeze has been out. However, I still feel like the Saints will cover and win. Sean Payton is excellent at putting his team in position to win, no matter who's playing. He knows he can rely on his defense and keep it conservative offensively and play the field position game. Thomas Morstead is the best punter in the NFL. The last few weeks, New Orleans has been putting teams in bad field position and making them try to go the length of the field to score. Tough task against this defense. I like the Saints to win and cover tomorrow, taking them in my pool play, but I'm just not confident enough to include it in my picks or bet it as a single game. All right, just to recap here, picks for the weekend. Taking Detroit +2, Giants -3, the Rams -2.5, Baltimore +3, and the Eagles buying the half point to get it to 3. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and let me know your NFL picks for the weekend. Follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I'll be back on Tuesday with the good, the bad, and the ugly for the weekend. I will see you then. Have a great weekend.